In a time like this where everything of quality is down significantly, there's no need to be chasing co- concepts that are wildly improving. Because if you simply dollar cost average your way into major layer ones that have some kind of believable argument for long-term sustainability and its major ecosystem projects, such as like the major decks on the network, the major, I hate to say it, but like metaverse play on the network, that is likely to be a winning strategy moving forward, especially as these things become more scalable and the actual dApps on each network become more and more uh, usable. Like, there's no need to be chasing like the most innovative and latest unproven idea to try and seek those, those crazy gains, because now where everything's at a massive discount, you can get really great gains with what a lot of people would arguably define as more fundamentally sound. Although again, there's so much nuance in there, but
Well, you mentioned L1s and proven track record. First thing that comes to mind is Hex. The last 3 years, flawless operation, uptime, all that stuff. Those let's just say the RH blue chips, Hex, PulseX, are those the winning portfolio? Like, are those the ones that are just kind of like, obviously these are going to do well based on everything we've seen before them that came, based on the track record they have now, based on all these other factors? Is that the pieces you put together to like, is that the way you do it? I don't know.
yeah, like if you look at what has been the most consistent winner in this space over the last couple of years, it has been Ethereum competitors, layer one smart contract blockchains. There's so many new and innovative ideas, from oracles to different versions and derivatives of DeFi things, to metaverse things, to NFT things. I don't know if I mentioned oracles, but like there's insurance stuff. My point is, there's half a dozen kind of concepts being flushed out and out in this space, where it's kind of unknown how many of them will have sustainability and kind of what versions and evolutions of these ideas will be sustainable long term. But what we have seen being the most consistent winner is quality layer one smart contract blockchains. And PulseChain seems to me to be the highest quality new layer one blockchain that I'm aware of. To have a massive, massive community ready to use this chain and for it to be adopted is such an incredibly privileged position. Because if you look at a lot of these other layer one smart contract blockchains, oh man, there's this one really obscure one that I like for a minute, but one that I've been kind of liking recently is Casper Network or Casper Labs. But one of the largest differentiating factors that differentiates Casper Labs from something like PulseChain is, yeah, they have different consensus mechanisms and they're going for different crowds and they do different things. Sure. But why one of the reasons that I like both is because they're both very early, they're both at a good valuation. Large crypto YouTubers aren't talking about it. Have you heard about it before I brought it up here?
No, I haven't.
There you go. See, that's if you haven't heard about it, it's great because that means early. But one of the reasons that I think puts PulseChain so above the rest of the competition, and something that PulseChain has that something like Casper Labs doesn't have, is the fact that we have a massive community of not just individual users but developers already just waiting on the sidelines to adopt and use PulseChain. So many other projects are hoping and praying that one day we get developers, one day we get a community, one day someone will use our decks. Oh my God, with PulseChain, we don't have that open question of, hey, one day we're hoping and praying we might get a community, we might get usership. No, PulseChain will not have the problem of being labeled a ghost chain, which a lot of other projects have the problem have that problem. Not only do they have to try and build out their own consensus mechanism, but then they have to hope and pray that they get a community. PulseChain is skipping the hard problem that all other ETH competitors have to do, which is come up with their own consensus mechanism and their own community. PulseChain doesn't have to do all that. It already has that. It gets to skip that massive problem. So you have that. Plus, this thing is not even out. If regardless you got in the sack phase or not, the first week, the first month, the first quarter that PulseChain is out is likely to be around the all-time ever low. So there is the opportunity to get in early at a good valuation into something like PulseChain, which has a lot of factors, a lot of very obvious factors that set it up to be in a more advantageous place than its competitors. And so the quality, the opportunity here, it's truly, truly unmatched. And I just got to say as well, man, like it's frankly so obvious if you take a look. And you really got to be wary of who you pay attention to in the space, man. Because look, I remember when I was first, like learning about this ecosystem, someone I used to follow a lot was Token Metrics. I don't know if you're familiar with them, right? Have you heard of Token Metrics?
Sounds familiar, but I'm not sure.
Look, I think they're a smart team. I think they do some useful things, but they get a lot of things wrong, including the richer heart side of the ecosystem. And I remember Token Metrics used to have live streams all the time before like their entire team left. I don't want to delve into the drama with them, but the point is that they brought on this guy called Forrest. Forget his last name, but he was brought on as like this major crypto expert. There's a lot of deep dives into kind of brand new projects, and he was. I'll happily admit he's an intelligent guy. He's very obviously a competent technical analyst. He very obviously had a understanding of the ecosystem, not a dummy. But I remember someone asked him about PulseChain. He said it's a faster, cheaper version of Ethereum. And this guy couldn't bring himself to understand why a faster, cheaper version of Ethereum would be something that's compelling. And he was completely dismissive of it. And I'm like, this motherfucker, you're telling me the head researcher of Token Metrics, so his job is to research new cryptocurrencies, cannot fathom why a faster, cheaper version of Ethereum would be compelling. It just goes to show you the just to bring it all together, the faults of people. And I think the important takeaway, not to shit on him, but the important takeaway from that is that you can be incredibly smart and still, perhaps say and do and act in sometimes stupid ways. And again, one way to mitigate that is to have a plan. Come full circle here. Have a plan and stick to it.